Israel-Iran war has escalated. We're now being told that Iran's 17th wave of strikes is underway, and more than 40 missiles have been launched. Israel strikes Iran's aerial capabilities. Israel has also gone on to say that key Iran soldiers have been killed. Soldiers who operated defense system have been killed. So that's the latest that we have for you. Iran striking with its 17th wave of strikes against both the US as well as Israel, and you have Israel striking Iran's aerial capabilities. Aditya Rajkol, day 5 with him live from Israel at this point. Aditya, the latest, just take us through what you're seeing, because along with being our reporter on the ground, you're also witnessing what's been happening in the skies.
Well, that's right, Vedika. Happy Holi to you from Israel. But also, this is an escalating situation all across the Middle East. What we are learning now from the IDF in a new statement, the IDF has claimed that all those soldiers in the Iranian security forces and the Iranian military who were responsible for the air defenses have now been eliminated. What we are learning is that at least 40 missiles were launched, and in fact, Israeli strikes have been seen in Tehran and other areas where the air defense batteries were in fact located, and that has been completely devastated. This is the latest that we are picking up from Israel and Iran in the latest turn of events. Israel has hit out at Iranian air defense measures, and all those soldiers responsible for the air defense have been eliminated. This happens just minutes after Iran also launched a barrage of missiles against Israel, but also against the US interests in UAE as well as in Iraq. We have had reports since early morning that the US consulate in Dubai came under attack. Although there were no casualties reported, the parking lot of the US consulate came under attack, in which multiple drones hit the parking lot. Apart from that, the US base in Baghdad also came under attack. There were some infrastructure damage that was reported there as well. This even comes at a time when Israel has now announced just minutes ago that they will be opening the airspace temporarily tonight between the March 4th and March 5th midnight. Temporarily, the airspace and the Ben Gurion airport will be reopened. This is because a lot of Israelis are outside and they will be allowed to come into the Ben Gurion airport. Apart from that, the Taba crossing between Egypt and Israel has been opened as well. A lot of Israelis who are stranded outside can now utilize the Taba area in Egypt to directly come via road towards Israel. So that's what the latest we are picking up. Even as situation escalates down on ground, it doesn't seem like there's an end in sight as of now. Mujtaba, the son of Ayatollah Al-Khamenei, yesterday was announced as the next supreme leader, but Israel also attacked one of the areas where that meeting was underway. So there's no clarity whether the top officials of the Iranian regime are alive or they have passed away in the latest attack. But Mujtaba will be the new supreme leader. Will he be allowed? Because what statements Trump and Netanyahu have given, Vedika, that clearly indicate they will not allow the new Iranian regime to take control.
Aditya, you're going to stay with me. I also have Yusuf Jalali joining me live from Tehran at the moment. And Aditya, there's a lot to break down with you, be it the successor to Khamenei, the targeting of the top leadership still of Iran. But I'm going to go across to Yusuf right now. Yusuf, let's just start with the situation there in Tehran. We believe that Iran's 17th wave of strikes against US and Israel is underway. What can you share with us on this?
Well, of course, Iran has said that it has targeted the US-linked telecommunication and radar systems. And of course, it has also been claiming that it's been launching some strikes, downing American jets flying inside Iran's skies, and of course, in the skies of regional countries. And now we heard that the IRGC has been able to down the 4th American F-15 fighter jet. Of course, we do know that some fighter jets were downed in Kuwait, and Kuwait itself claimed responsibility for the mistake or the mishap that led to the downing of those fighter jets. But Iran says that its own military was the one that targeted those F-15 fighter jets. So the Iranians have also absorbed a significant amount of bombardments and of course, strikes targeting different military institutions and intelligence institutions and Basij bases. Basij is the paramilitary force that is affiliated with the IRGC, and the Israelis have said that the Basij force is now in their crosshairs, given the fact that it was involved in the suppression and quelling of the protests that erupted recently, the anti-government protests.
So if I want to understand from you also where the casualties stand, because of course you will have organizations outside Iran putting an estimate to that figure, but what are you hearing?
Well, local outlets are putting the casualties at more than 780 people, the majority being civilians. This is based on Fars News, which is very close to the Iranian government. And of course, Iran has been trying to shed light on the civilian casualties by going to schools. And if we remember, the Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson, there's no need actually to remember because it happened yesterday. The Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson, Ismail Baghai, held his press briefing session at one of the damaged schools, symbolically to try to send this message to the world that the United States and the Israelis are targeting civilians. And he spoke extensively about the damages and the casualties in Minab School, which is a girls' school which came under an attack by the Israeli and the American strikes on the first day of the war and led to more than 120 deaths, all of them being schoolgirls. So Iran has been trying to say that the Americans and the Israelis, while claiming that they're not targeting civilians and they're focusing on Iran's military and intelligence institutions, civilian casualties have been a collateral damage.
Hey, do stay with me, both Yusuf as well as Aditya. There is some more breaking news coming in. We're being told Iran's IRGC has claimed complete control of the Strait of Hormuz. The IRGC, which has pledged to close the Strait of Hormuz, maintains it has full control of the waterway, where Donald Trump has said he is prepared to deploy the Navy to escort tankers. Currently, the Strait of Hormuz is under the complete control of the Islamic Republic's Navy. IRGC Navy official has said in a statement carried by Iran's news agency. Going back to Aditya, this seems to be a huge bottleneck. It's perhaps one of the most dangerous spaces now when it comes to a strait where you see the oil supplies have been passing from. It impacts so many countries, and Iran for the fourth day continuously has been claiming that they have control over this space. What does this mean in terms of the larger geopolitical picture at this point, especially when you've had Donald Trump saying that he will escort ships and vessels out of there if necessary?
Well, yes, Vedika, this statement has huge ramifications as Strait of Hormuz is utilized for east-west, corridor when it comes to oil transportation. There are vessels that move in the Strait of Hormuz continuously. But let's also remember that this is perhaps the third or the fourth claim that is coming in from the IRGC and the Iranian regime over the last few days. In a latest statement, IRGC has again taken control of the Strait of Hormuz. At least that is what they are claiming. This comes just hours after US President Donald Trump said that he's prepared to send in the US assets and US vessels and ships towards the Strait of Hormuz to in fact police that entire area against any Iranian threat or Iranian attack. As of now, of course, Strait of Hormuz is the main hub of the east-west oil corridor. For India as well, perhaps 40 to 50% of the oil comes through that particular route, even as Government of India yesterday has maintained that they're fully prepared, and when it comes to oil, they have ample supply that is coming in right now. We've had statements coming in from sources within Russia as well that they are very much prepared to tackle the situation and supply oil to India if the crisis erupts further. But if at all there is a status quo or a standstill to the oil, connectivity and shipping during in that particular route, it will be a huge headache for both East and the West as of now. But there is no clarity whether there has been a complete standstill right now. The U.S. naval forces are increasingly moving towards the Strait of Hormuz, and it does seem like what we are witnessing right now on ground in Tehran and other places across Iran, and what we are witnessing across the Middle East in this particular war, could now possibly shift towards Strait of Hormuz and the waters around Iran as well, even as Iran's threat is looming large over the Strait of Hormuz.
Still with us, he's still live from Tehran. Yusuf, the Strait of Hormuz, fourth or fifth time you've had Iran come out and say that we have complete control over the area. It seems to be something that they're harping over and over again about.
Of course, before the war began, we heard such statements and stark warnings coming from the IRGC and other Iranian military institutions, warning that any attack against Iranian soil would be met with a harsh response, and among those responses would be the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Not to mention the attacks targeting U.S. bases in the region, and of course the American assets in the region. But now we see that this threat has been fulfilled and materialized. Even if the IRGC is not logistically capable of closing the Strait of Hormuz, even if the United States will escort the ships passing there, it constitutes major risk for the passing ships. It would lead to some ramifications and repercussions on the global oil market. Already has shown its impacts on the global oil market. But of course, the IRGC is now threatening any passing ship, regardless of whether or not they're being escorted or not being escorted by the American military. They're going to be a legitimate target, especially if they're saying this very much clearly and openly and bluntly. They're saying that if the United States wants to escort those ships, then the United States vessels are also going to be a legitimate target for Iran.